Hi everyone, my name's Jerome de Groot. I teach in the English department in the School of Arts, Languages and Cultures, and I'm going to talk today about my interdisciplinary research, which is starting to become entitled Critical Genetic and Biomolecular Histories. And what I'm interested in is the interface between humanities subjects of all kinds, humanities disciplines of all kinds, and the increasingly complex and wide-ranging methods associated with biomolecular sciences, and particular sciences, those sciences associated with genetics and DNA. And I'm starting to call this practice critical genetic and biomolecular histories, and it's foundationally interdisciplinary. It's interested in bringing together scholars and disciplines from across all parts of the university to think about new ways in which data is being understood, conceived of, articulated, illustrated, and shared. I started with a simple question: are geneticists historians? This is the lab in Leipzig where Svante Pääbo did his work that won him the Nobel Prize, and this is the Duke Humphrey Library in Oxford, which is a very ancient library. And my question was, is the data generated in these two places, or the data created in these two places, is there any relationship between those two things? And toward the end of my project, really, I'm very clear and very convinced that they are pretty much both doing similar things, or at least there is an affinity between the type of work that is being undertaken in both places. Um, since 2000, there's a massive amount of data that's being produced in the realms of the biomolecular and biological sciences. Particularly, this is because the ending of the Human Genome Project, which has led to a very quick and really quite profound shift in the way that we might understand humanness. And this has led to a series of interventions, which I think are really crucial for our work in the humanities. That is the changing of what we understand to be the past, and that is in the intervention of ancient DNA work, the increased use of synthetic DNA, particularly in drug discovery, but also increasingly in medical use. The use of AI in understanding it and generating some of this data, but also translating it, and how this contributes to the idea of humanness, particularly from a humanities point of view, the edges of a human and how a human might be understood and interpreted. Another kind of knock-on effect of all this work has been the development of what are now known as DNA-based storage systems. I mean, the humanities is multiple. There are many different ways that we might think about the humanities, but increasingly new scientific collaborations between humanities work and science has leading, as Jay Clayton says, to a shift in the boundaries of humanities research. And what I'm really interested in is trying to anticipate and understand what those shifts might be. And here are some that we have already that are quite well established. But there are many new phenomena and practices that have started to become kind of very interesting over the last couple of years as a consequence of this kind of explosion of biological based activity. And this expansion of data. So here are some of them. I mean, bioart is quite well established, but molecular paleography, for instance, which is interrogating texts in libraries, biodigital philosophy is very new, biosemiotics, bioarchaeology is relatively well established as well. And I guess my work is interested in trying to establish the connections between these new types of approach and what, if anything, the role of all of our humanities disciplines are in the lab and how we can engage with and intensely kind of collaborate with our colleagues in the sciences. And I'm starting to tentatively call this the development of critical genetic and biomolecular histories. That is a new set of ways of thinking about a type of story, narrative, articulation, translation. This involves critical engagement with the work at the site of production, that is at the site of the production of the data of the work, and at the site of publication, that is at the site of how this is being articulated and understood and written about. We need to write histories about the translation of this data and the ways in which it is understood, both by those in the work that they're doing themselves, but also those outside. We're recognizing a new development in curatorial practice, and we need to understand this as well. And largely, I think that the new ways in which data is being shared, understood, articulated, presented, translated, imagined even, we have crucially really, really useful ways of doing this from the humanities point of view. And I think that what I'm really excited about are developing some new and really wide-ranging types of collaborative network to start interrogating this material in even more detail.